Okay, I found similarities between evolution and the Catholic Church and Protestantism and the Catholic Church. And yeah, like what happens is there is Jesus Christ 2020 years ago, and it's historical fact. So if the evolutionists want like proof of God, that is proof that God walked the face of the earth. That's like actual physical evidence, and it's accepted in every century, for 2,000 years, all the way up till today. But what happens is about 500 years ago, Protestants named themselves Protestant. A lot of Protestants today, they forget that they named themselves Protestant, but they broke off and they created state religions. Okay, and then people split off from those state religions as the centuries went on, and every time they made a split, they become less and less like the original Catholic Church that Jesus established. That's the only one that Jesus established. Now, what happens is they all have these different beliefs. Every time they split, they have like different beliefs in all these denominations. Denominate means to name yourself, whereas like Peter, he didn't name himself. His name was Simon, and then Jesus named him or nominated him, and then Protestants named themselves, kind of like at the Tower of Babel. There was like Shem, who was blessed, and uh, people broke off from that and made names or denominations for themselves back in the Table of Nations. But what happens is, as they kept splitting, from 500 years ago till today, what happened was they become less and less similar. Like with Freemasonry, they have like a little G in the corner of their room, and they say that any God's good enough. They've devolved to the point where, any God's good enough. But basically, what that is as they kept splitting and splitting, they believed less and less and less until they got to the point where they really don't believe in God because any God will do. Well, the next step further from that is atheism. So, uh, the just a lack of belief in God at all. I mean, that's the next thing that would happen, and that's where evolution and yeah, evolution comes in, where these people, they don't believe in God at all. That's the next logical step. So what I've noticed is that with Protestantism, they take the Bible from the Catholic Church. None of them, not one of these denominations, made the Bible themselves or chose the books that are in it or anything. But they'll argue from the Bible all the time, and it's not a matter of who interprets the Bible correctly. Okay? It's a matter of who interprets the Catholic Church correctly, because they're protesting the Catholic Church. But if they have false premises of the Catholic Church, then the very moment that they go to the Bible with a false premise to kind of disprove, you know, their false premise of the Catholic Church, they're going to it with a false premise. But they create all these like beliefs, and they make it fit. They find excuses to make scripture fit their idea. And what I've noticed with evolutionists, they are doing the same thing. They have like this doctrine, this religious belief, and then all of the science, they try to fit it to make it fit what they believe. It's like a really weird thing, but like I think I think they're misinterpreting uh not the Bible, but like you know, they take science and data and then make it fit their theory. So like that's what they're doing. They're reading into the data, they're reading into the science, and they're doing anything to make it fit their ideology. So, but I have to pray about it, but that's what I'm noticing right now is that they're reading data in. See, they got rid of the Bible altogether. They're not interested in that. So, like, what they do is like science is like their little Bible. It's their where they get their data from. So they're reading into it, just like Protestants read their beliefs into the Bible, and they're using their fallen human reasoning to do it. And then the evolutionists, they do the same thing. They read into the data to make it fit their ideology or their religion. And there's another interesting thing is that there's people that believe that the universe is electric. It's the Thunderbolts Project on YouTube. And you have the Einstein Big Bang cosmology, which believes that gravity is the main force in the universe. I believe it's electricity. Like I watch the Thunderbolt Project all the time, and it completely changes the whole entire understanding of the formation of the cosmos. But, NASA and anybody that believes in the Big Bang cosmology, what they do is they make everything fit their, Big Bang Theory ideology or their religion. That's basically what it is. But I guess I'll leave the video at that point right there. But I'm going to keep working on how to kind of get in philosophically and then figure out like what the essence of their error is, like the evolutionist. But the best I could get right now is that I'm going to try to make similarities between the Protestantism, where they're reading into a Bible that they didn't make. So they're reading their beliefs into it. Somehow I think evolutionists are reading their beliefs into science. They're collecting all this data, and then they read their beliefs into the data. And it just reminds me of Protestantism. And I really believe that it is a form of Protestantism. They just went one step further in believing less and less and less, and they become atheist and don't believe in God at all. And then they read into the scientific data and create their evolution theory.